What if the most powerful way to make her regret losing you is to stop trying to make her regret anything at all? Most men think regret comes from chasing harder, proving more, or shouting their worth. But the truth is brutal and simple. The more you try to convince her, the less she values you. Regret doesn't come from effort, it comes from absence, from silence, from the quiet confidence of a man who walks away, rebuilds himself, and becomes something she never saw coming. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. They taught that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. When you stop reacting, when you detach, when you let her experience a world without you, you become a force she cannot ignore. And this is where dark psychology sharpens the edge. The human mind craves what it cannot predict, what it cannot control. Your silence becomes the loudest sound in her life. Your absence becomes a presence she can't escape. But here's the paradox. The man who truly makes her regret losing him isn't trying to make her regret anything. He's too busy rising, too busy growing, too busy becoming the version of himself that commands respect without asking for it. And when she sees that man, the one she left behind, now untouchable, that's when regret hits hardest. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I am the prize. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Regret begins in silence. Silence is the spark. It's the moment everything shifts, not just for her, but for you. When you stop calling, stop texting, stop orbiting her world, you create a vacuum, and in that vacuum, two things happen. You begin to heal, and she begins to wonder. The Stoics taught that control begins with restraint. A man who can stay silent, even when every impulse screams to break it, is a man stepping into his power. Silence is not weakness, it is discipline. It's you saying, I do not need your response to validate my worth. From the perspective of dark psychology, silence is devastating. People crave certainty, and when you vanish, you remove the certainty she once had in you. She doesn't know where you are, what you're thinking, or whether you've already replaced her. That uncertainty gnaws at her. The more still you become, the louder your absence rings in her mind. And this is where regret is born, not in arguments, not in long messages, but in quiet. The silence becomes a mirror, forcing her to confront the reality that you are no longer within reach. And nothing breeds longing quite like realizing the door you once left wide open is now closed. Number 2. Mastering emotional detachment. Detachment is the foundation of masculine power. When she walked away, she expected control, your emotions, your reactions, your energy. But the moment you detach, the moment you refuse to let her choices dictate your state of mind, you take that control back. The Stoics taught that nothing external should rule the internal. Love, loss, betrayal, none of it has the power to shake the man who governs himself. Detachment isn't about pretending you don't feel. It's about feeling fully, but refusing to be ruled by those feelings. It's about choosing calm over chaos, silence over desperation, dignity over pleading. From the lens of dark psychology, detachment is magnetic. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to prove yourself, you create a shift she can't ignore. What was once predictable, your constant need for her validation, becomes a mystery. And the human mind is wired to obsess over what it can't control. Detachment doesn't just protect you, it unnerves her. It forces her to confront a reality where she is no longer the center of your world. And in that space, regret begins to bloom. Not because you demanded it, but because you reclaimed what she thought was hers to own, your mind. Number 3, withdrawal creates value. A man who is always available is a man who is taken for granted. When you were there at every call, every message, every flicker of attention, your presence became cheap, something she assumed would always be there. But the moment you withdraw, everything changes. The Stoics understood that value isn't determined by others. It's determined by what you choose to give and when. By pulling back your attention, by refusing to offer your presence freely, you create scarcity. And scarcity, in both psychology and life, breeds value. From the dark psychology perspective, your withdrawal flips the dynamic in her mind. She begins to question the security she once had. Where are you? Why aren't you reaching out? Has she lost her hold on you completely? These questions build quietly, creating an unease that grows with every silent day. Withdrawal doesn't mean anger. It doesn't mean punishment. It means understanding that your time and energy are rare currencies, and not everyone deserves access to them. By removing yourself, you remind her, without a single word, that your presence was never something to be taken lightly. This is the paradox of masculine strength. The less you give, the more your value rises. And the man who understands this doesn't need to demand respect. He commands it simply by choosing where his energy flows. Number 4. Transformation is the ultimate revenge. Nothing stings more than watching someone you underestimated rise into their full potential. And nothing breeds regret faster than realizing the man she walked away from has become a man she can no longer reach. The Stoics believed that adversity was the greatest teacher, that every setback carried the seed of transformation. Your heartbreak is no exception. The pain you feel now, it's fuel. Fuel for the gym, for your goals, for rebuilding yourself into someone stronger, sharper, and more disciplined than ever before. From the lens of dark psychology, transformation flips the script. She expected you to crumble, to spiral, to stay trapped in the version of yourself that begged for her validation. But when she sees strength where there was once desperation, confidence where there was once neediness, she begins to question everything. Did she make a mistake? Did she give up on a man who was always destined to rise? Transformation is silent revenge. It's not about flaunting your progress or trying to prove anything. It's about quietly becoming a man so grounded in purpose that her absence no longer matters. And that quiet confidence, that unbothered strength, is what makes her regret losing you, not because you chased her, but because you stopped needing her entirely. Number 5. Living as the prize. A man who chases validation will always feel like he's losing. But the man who becomes the prize, who knows his worth and lives like it, never has to chase anyone. When you stop trying to win her back and start building a life worth living, the dynamic flips forever. The Stoics taught that your value is internal. It's in your discipline, your integrity, your ability to master yourself. When you live from that foundation, you stop seeking approval. You stop trying to convince anyone of your worth, because you know it and your actions prove it. Dark psychology sharpens this truth. People crave what feels scarce, what feels out of reach. When you live as the prize, focused on your growth, your mission, your purpose, you become that rare presence. And rarity draws attention. She starts to realize that what she lost isn't just a man. It's a man who commands his world and doesn't need her validation to do it. Living as the prize isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's refusing to lower your standards, refusing to chase, and refusing to let someone else define your value. And when you live in that space, you stop worrying about whether she regrets losing you, because you're too busy building a life where her regret doesn't even matter. Number 6. Unpredictability and Power. Predictability kills mystery. When she knew exactly how you'd react, when every silence was followed by a message, every rejection followed by a plea, She stopped seeing you as powerful. You were predictable, and predictability is forgettable. The Stoics lived by principle, not reaction. They moved with intention, never from desperation. When you adopt this mindset, you stop being the man she can read like a book. You become measured, calm, and deliberate. Every move you make is by choice, not by impulse. Dark psychology makes it clear. Unpredictability is magnetic. The human mind craves patterns. When the pattern breaks, it obsesses over the reason why. Your silence becomes a question. Your discipline becomes a puzzle. The man she thought she understood becomes someone she can't predict. And that mystery draws her attention in ways words never could. Unpredictability doesn't mean games or manipulation. It means becoming a man with depth. A man whose actions are guided by purpose, not by fear or ego. And when you step into that kind of power, you stop trying to make her regret losing you. Because by then, your evolution makes that regret inevitable. Number 7. Patience turns the tables. Patience is the weapon most men never learn to use. They want instant results, instant closure, instant attention, instant regret from the woman who left them. But the man who understands patience, he becomes unstoppable. The Stoics called patience the companion of wisdom. It's the discipline to wait without breaking, to act only when action serves you, and to remain still when chaos surrounds you. In recovery, patience is your quiet advantage. Every day you stay silent, every moment you resist the urge to react, your presence grows louder, not to her, but to yourself. From the perspective of dark psychology, time magnifies absence. At first, she may feel relief. She may even tell herself she's happier without you. But as weeks turn into months and your silence holds steady, her certainty erodes. She begins to wonder why you haven't reached out, why you haven't tried to win her back, why you've stayed calm while she expected you to spiral. Patience flips the dynamic. The man who waits, not out of hope but out of strength, becomes a man no one can control. And by the time regret sets in, it's not because you begged for it. It's because your silence, your growth, and your patience made it inevitable. Number 8. Detachment breeds desire. Detachment is the quiet force that changes everything. When you no longer need her, when her opinion no longer determines your worth, you radiate something most men never master: unbothered confidence. The Stoics lived this truth daily. They taught that nothing external, not wealth, not status, not even love, should hold the keys to your inner peace. When you truly embody that, you stop moving like a man trying to be chosen. You start moving like a man who chooses himself. Dark psychology explains why this is so magnetic. People crave what they can't control. The moment you detach, not as an act, not as a performance, but as a genuine state of peace, she feels the shift. What once was certain is now unknown. What once was easy is now elusive. And that absence of control plants the seed of desire and eventually regret. True detachment isn't coldness, it's strength. It's being able to care without needing, to love without clinging, to walk away without fear. And when you reach that level, you stop trying to make her regret losing you, because by then, you've built a life where her regret is just background noise. Number 9. The return of power. There comes a point in this journey when the balance shifts. In the beginning, she held the power, she walked away, and you were left in pieces. But as you stayed silent, rebuilt and detached, something changed. Slowly, quietly, the power you gave away comes back to you. The Stoics would call this alignment, mastery over yourself that no one can take. By refusing to chase, by refusing to crumble, you proved that your strength doesn't depend on anyone else. You stopped living as the abandoned man and started living as the man who chooses his own path. From the perspective of dark psychology, this is where the regret burns the hottest. She expected to see you stuck, weak, longing. Instead, she sees you living, growing, thriving. And in that moment, she feels the weight of what she lost, not just a man, but the version of you that has now evolved into something beyond her reach. But here's the truth. By the time the power has returned, her regret no longer matters. Because you've built something greater than her approval. You've built sovereignty. And a man who owns himself is a man no one can ever diminish again. Number 10. Sovereignty is the endgame. The goal was never her regret. The goal was never winning her back. The goal has always been sovereignty, the unshakable mastery of yourself. The Stoics taught that true freedom comes when nothing external can disturb your inner world. When you reach that point, you don't just recover, you transcend. You stop thinking about what she's doing, who she's with, or whether she regrets losing you, because the man you've become doesn't need that validation. Dark psychology makes the irony sharper. The moment you stop caring, the moment you genuinely detach, is the moment her regret becomes inevitable. She feels the distance. She sees the transformation. She realizes the man she thought would always be there is now someone she can't even reach. But by then, her regret no longer has power over you, because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed her in the first place. Sovereignty is the end game. It's living on your terms. It's controlling your emotions, your energy, and your direction. It's building a life so strong, so disciplined, so abundant, that no betrayal, no rejection, no loss can shake it. That's the man you become when you follow the Stoic way. And that's the man who doesn't just inspire regret, he inspires respect. You didn't beg, you didn't chase, you didn't play games. You simply walked away, rebuilt, and became the man you were meant to be. That is the Stoic way. That is the masculine mindset that turns heartbreak into power, silence into presence, and absence into quiet dominance. And here's the truth that few will ever understand. The man who truly makes her regret losing him isn't trying to make her regret anything. He's too focused on building, growing, and mastering himself. He's too busy living a life where her opinion is irrelevant and her validation unnecessary. Her regret, if it comes, is simply a byproduct of your evolution. But your sovereignty, your strength, your peace, that's yours forever. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, I am the prize. Thanks for watching Stoic Blessing.